It's 3 p.m. and my brain has quietly left the building.
Yeah, your eyes are open, but your soul is buffering.
Exactly. I'm one bad email away from becoming a kitchen zombie.
And somehow the answer always feels like wake more coffee.
Which is rude because it never really fixes the problem.
So today, let's talk about real energy, the kind that actually stays. And if this sounds familiar already, you are very, very normal. That afternoon drop in energy is such a common part of modern life. You start the day with decent intentions, maybe even good focus. And then somewhere around 3 p.m., everything gets blurry.
Yeah, and suddenly even replying to one email feels like a deep spiritual challenge.
Exactly. So, in this episode, we're talking about how to have steadier energy through the day without depending on more and more caffeine. Not in a perfect robotic way, just in a real life way.
The kind of energy where you can still think, speak, and function, which honestly feels luxurious.
See, we'll look at why the afternoon crash happens, why coffee is not always the hero it pretends to be, how movement can wake you up, why water matters more than people think, and how to handle mental fatigue without forcing yourself like a machine.
And we made a free PDF for this episode too. It's called the Energy Audit Checklist, and it helps you track the little habits that might be secretly draining you.
And so, if you keep saying, "Why am I so tired?" the PDF will help you notice patterns.
Also, stay with us until the end because we'll do a calm word tour with useful everyday vocabulary like fatigue, slump, and hydrate.
Kisan, and for today's comment question, what usually causes your 3 p.m. crash? Not enough sleep, too much coffee, dehydration, or too much screen time?
And if you're feeling tired right now, hit the like button so we can suffer together.
Okay, let's start with that painfully specific moment when the day suddenly feels heavier than it should. So let's begin with the most dramatic time of day.
Ah, yes, the emotional thriller known as 3 p.m.
Exactly. That strange hour when your body is technically still at work, but your spirit is lying face down on the floor.
And then your laptop is open, your inbox is open, maybe a document is open, but you are not open. You are closed, fully closed.
That feeling is so universal. Heavy eyes, slower thoughts. You read the same sentence 3 times and somehow understand it less each time.
And that part is so real. Sometimes I read an email, and by the end, I genuinely don't know what planet the first sentence came from.
Yeah, and I think it helps to say this clearly that afternoon slump does not automatically mean you are lazy or unmotivated. Sometimes it simply means your energy is dropping and your body is asking for support.
All right, but most of us do not respond with support.
And no,
We respond with panic and coffee.
yes, immediate panic coffee.
Well, actually, wait, let's do a quick check. How many cups of coffee have you had today?
Today, one.
Wow, very elegant, very stable. I have had, let me count emotionally, three.
3 emotionally.
Yes, one physically, one spiritually, and one because I believed in myself for no reason.
That sounds scientifically questionable.
It is, but I do think a lot of listeners will relate to that little zombie walk to the kitchen. You're tired, so you think, okay, I just need another cup, then I'll become a new person.
And then sometimes for a short time, you do feel different. A little sharper, a little more awake.
For about 7 minutes.
Right. Which is why coffee can feel helpful but not truly reliable. It gives you a lift, but it does not always solve the deeper problem.
It's like putting bright paint on a tired wall. From far away, it looks better. Up close, the wall is still tired.
And that's a very you metaphor.
Thank you. I've been working hard in the metaphor lab.
And here's the deeper issue. A lot of people use caffeine like an energy source, when really it works more like a signal booster. It can make you feel more alert for a while, but it does not replace sleep, nourishment, movement, hydration, or mental recovery.
So basically, coffee is not building the house, it's just turning the lights on.
Oh, exactly. And if the house has deeper problems, brighter lights will not fix them.
Ashe, that's actually such a helpful image because sometimes I drink coffee almost like I'm trying to negotiate with exhaustion.
Oh, yes, like, please don't ruin my afternoon. I am busy.
Please let me answer these emails like a functioning adult.
And to be fair, caffeine is not evil. We are not here to attack coffee.
Good. I would like to keep my relationship with coffee peaceful.
Sastu, same. Coffee can absolutely be enjoyable. It can be part of a routine. It can even be useful. But when it becomes the only answer to low energy, that is usually a sign that something underneath needs attention.
So coffee is fine, but coffee is a full life strategy. So maybe not.
Probably not.
There's also that weird moment when coffee stops feeling helpful and starts feeling chaotic.
Yes, your body feels awake, but your brain still feels fuzzy.
Exactly. My heart is typing at full speed, but my thoughts are still in pajamas.
That's such a good way to describe it, because alertness and energy are not always the same thing. You can feel stimulated without feeling well rested, clear, or steady.
Which is honestly the worst combination.
When it really is. And this is where the temporary loan idea matters. Caffeine can feel like borrowed energy. It may help now, but if the basics are weak, you often pay for it later with a bigger crash, poor sleep, or that jittery, uncomfortable feeling.
Borrowed energy from tomorrow. That's rude, but yes.
Very rude.
So, also, can we talk about the mini fantasy people have with caffeine? Like, this next cup will heal me. This next cup will fix my personality, my schedule, my choices.
My emotional history.
Exactly.
And then again, that fantasy is so understandable. Because when you feel low, you want one fast, simple answer.
But the real answer is usually less exciting.
Less exciting, but more effective.
Okay, so let's do the broken engine example because I love this one.
Well, yes. Imagine your energy system is like an engine. If something deeper is off and you just keep adding caffeine, it can be a little like putting a bandage on a broken engine.
Yeah, which sounds ridiculous because it is.
Us, the bandage is not useless. It might cover something. It might make you feel like you did something, but it is not repairing the engine.
Right. The car is still making strange sounds. We're just pretending not to hear them.
Oh, exactly. So when you hit that afternoon slump, a more helpful question is not just, how do I wake up right now?
It's why is my energy dropping like this in the first place?
Up. Yes. Maybe you slept badly. Maybe you had too much sugar and then crashed. Maybe you've been sitting for hours. Maybe you've had too little water. Maybe your brain is overloaded from doing one kind of task for too long,
Or maybe you've been trying to act like a machine since 9 a.m.
which many people do.
And then they get mad at themselves for feeling human.
Exactly. So one of the kindest things you can do is stop treating the crash like a personal failure. It is information. Your body is giving you data.
That's a big shift. Not, I'm broken, but something needs adjusting.
Yes, because shame makes people do strange things. Support usually works better.
Shame says you are weak. Support says maybe drink water and stand up, my friend.
Beautifully said.
Thank you. I'm here for practical poetry.
And so if you're listening right now and thinking, oh no, this is me every single afternoon. First, you are not alone. Second, you do not need to solve it with force. Usually, you need to get curious about your habits.
Which is why that energy audit checklist can actually help. Because sometimes the problem feels mysterious until you track it for a few days.
Exactly. You may notice, oh, I crash on the days I skip lunch, or I feel foggy when I drink coffee and forget water, or my focus disappears after 3 hours of sitting.
Or the very painful discovery apparently sleeping 4 hours is not a wellness practice.
And a difficult truth.
A personal attack, honestly.
And so the goal here is not to become a perfectly energized person every second of the day. That's not real life. The goal is steadier energy, less dramatic crashing, more support, more awareness.
And a fewer zombie walks to the kitchen.
Exactly. And once you stop expecting coffee to do all the emotional labor, you can start building actual energy habits.
Which brings us to one of the most underrated ones.
Yes. And this next one is a little annoying because it sounds too simple.
Which usually means it works.
Exactly. Let's talk about why moving your body for just 10 minutes can wake you up better than sitting there hoping to feel alive again. And so, movement.
Ah, yes, the advice everyone hates for about 3 seconds and then later admits was correct.
And exactly. Because when you feel tired, your instinct is often to become very still.
Which is so natural. You think, I have no energy, so I should sit here even harder.
Right. You almost freeze. You stare at the screen, stop moving, and hope your body will somehow restart on its own.
Like an old laptop.
Yes, but strangely, sitting completely still for too long can make you feel even more exhausted.
That twist is rude, by the way.
So it is. But it matters. When your body has been in one position for a long time, especially during focused work, your energy can start to feel flat. Not because you need to collapse, but because your system needs circulation, oxygen, and a small reset.
So sometimes the answer to I feel too tired to move is we got to move a little.
Exactly. Not an intense workout, not a dramatic life transformation, just 10 minutes of movement.
Which feels more manageable because if you tell a tired person to do a full workout, they may simply roll onto the floor and whisper, no.
Very true. We are not asking for athletic greatness here. A short walk, a few stretches, going up and down the stairs, standing by a window and moving your body a little. That can be enough to shift your energy.
And I think this helps because movement changes the feeling of being stuck. Tiredness is not always just low battery, sometimes it's also stagnation.
Oh, yes, that's such a good word for it. Stagnation. Your body and mind both start to feel heavy, almost like water that has stopped moving.
Meanwhile, a 10-minute walk can make you feel weirdly more human again.
Exactly. More alert, more present, sometimes even more emotionally balanced.
Which is interesting because people often think rest and movement are opposites.
Huh, but they are not always. Sometimes movement is what helps your body rest from one kind of strain.
That's good because sitting and staring at a screen for hours is also a kind of strain.
It really is. And I think this is important for listeners. If your work is very mental, then physical movement can feel especially refreshing. It gives your brain a different rhythm.
Instead of making your brain push harder in the same lane.
Exactly. You are giving it another lane for a moment.
So, also, movement breaks are emotionally helpful because they interrupt the drama. When I've been stuck too long, my thoughts start sounding very serious.
Yes, everything starts to feel bigger than it is.
One unanswered message becomes, my whole life is collapsing.
And then you stand up, walk around the block, and suddenly it becomes, oh, I was just tired.
Humbling but useful.
So very useful. So this is your gentle reminder. When your energy drops, do not always trust the first feeling, which is often, I should just stay here.
Sometimes staying there is exactly why it gets worse.
Exactly.
Okay, and now let's talk about another extremely unglamorous hero.
Water.
Water, the least exciting answer, and somehow still one of the most powerful.
Truly. A lot of people describe feeling foggy, heavy, unfocused, irritable, or strangely dull in the afternoon without realizing that dehydration may be part of the picture.
Which makes sense because most of us do not dramatically announce, I am now becoming dehydrated.
No, it's usually much quieter than that. Yeah.
It's more like, why do I feel weird? Why is my brain made of mashed potatoes?
Exactly. And because the symptoms can feel vague, people often miss the connection. They think they need more willpower, more coffee, more pressure.
When sometimes they need a glass of water.
Yes, a very humble solution.
Okay, can we do a quick recap of common dehydration signs?
Well, let's do it. Dry mouth, headache, brain fog, feeling sluggish, and trouble focusing. A kind of low, flat irritability. Sometimes even that odd feeling where your body feels tired, but not in a clear way.
That something is off, but I don't know what feeling.
Exactly. And for people who drink coffee, this matters even more because sometimes they keep adding caffeine but forget basic hydration entirely.
So the afternoon routine becomes coffee screen, tiny email crisis, no water.
Yes, yes. And then they wonder why their thoughts feel slow and scratchy.
Chiyam, slow and scratchy is such a specific feeling, and sadly, I know it well.
Me too, which is why strategic hydration helps. Not just drinking a huge amount of water at night and calling it balance.
You're right, that's not hydration, that's a last minute apology.
Exactly. Strategic hydration means checking in earlier, starting the day with water, drinking through the day, not waiting until you feel terrible.
Because by the time you really notice it, you may already be off.
Yes. So if your afternoon brain feels cloudy, one gentle question is, have I actually had enough water today?
Such a simple question, weirdly powerful.
Very. And now we come to the other kind of tiredness, which is mental fatigue.
My old friend.
Yes, because not all tiredness is physical. Sometimes your body is okay, but your brain feels worn down from too much concentration, too many decisions, or too much sameness.
Oh, that sameness part is huge. If I do one type of task for too long, my brain starts protesting,
Exactly. And many people respond by trying to push harder.
which always feels noble for about 10 minutes and then useless.
This feel right. A better approach is often to switch task types instead of stopping completely.
Well, I love this idea because it feels realistic. Not quit the day, just change the shape of the work.
Sa, yes. So if you've been doing deep analytical work for a long time, maybe switch to something lighter or more physical. Organize your desk. Answer a few easier messages. Review notes. Do something that uses a different kind of energy.
Or if you've been in meetings all day, maybe do one quiet task alone.
Exactly. You are still working, but you are not forcing the exact same mental muscles over and over.
Oh, that's such a useful way to say it. Different mental muscles.
So, because the goal is not always to stop, sometimes it is to recover while staying in motion, just in a gentler way.
Okay, and that feels kinder than the all or nothing mindset.
Much kinder, and usually more sustainable.
Okay, let's do something with the listeners right now because this is the kind of moment where people are probably still sitting very still.
Yes, if you're listening and you can do this safely, take one deep breath.
Us and stretch your arms a little. Nothing dramatic, just enough to remind your body that it exists.
Exactly. Deep breath in and out.
Already better, slightly less like an office ghost.
Tsai, that tiny reset matters because steady energy is often built from small adjustments, not one giant fix.
Which is honestly comforting. You do not need a perfect life. You need a few repeatable habits.
Yes, less drama, more rhythm.
Less save me, fourth cup of coffee. More, maybe I need water, a walk, and a different task.
Exactly. And when you start noticing what kind of fatigue you are dealing with, physical, mental, emotional, or just plain dehydration, you can respond more wisely.
Which is the real theme here, isn't it? Not just have more energy, but understand your energy.
Beautifully said.
Thank you. I've had almost enough water to become thoughtful.
Less a powerful moment. And now that we've talked through the habits, let's slow down and go through the language together.
Oh, yes, because some of today's words are incredibly useful in daily English.
And so let's head into the word tour and make this practical in your ears, not just in your ideas. Okay, welcome to the word tour.
The calm little corner where we slow down, breathe like civilized people, and learn useful English without making it feel like homework.
Us, exactly. Today's words are all connected to energy, tiredness, focus, and daily habits. These are words you can actually use at work, at home, or even just when talking about how your day feels.
Which is great because I'm tired is useful, but sometimes you need more detail than that.
Much more detail, so let's start. Word 1, fatigue. Fatigue means a strong feeling of tiredness, often deeper than normal tiredness.
So, not just I need a snack, more like, wow, my body and brain are really running low.
Yeah, exactly. Example? By the end of the week, she felt a lot of mental fatigue. Repeat after me, fatigue.
Fatigue.
Edward 2, slump. A slump is a drop. In this episode, it means a sudden drop in energy or mood.
The classic afternoon slump. The tragic little collapse around 3 p.m.
Exactly. Example: I always hit a slump after lunch if I sit too long. Repeat after me, slump.
Lump.
Word 3, crash. A crash is a stronger, more dramatic drop. It feels fast and unpleasant.
A slump is, oh, I'm fading. A crash is, well, I am no longer available to society.
Very good. Example: too much sugar in the morning can lead to an energy crash later. Repeat after me, crash.
Not a crash.
Word 4, steady. Steady means stable, even, not changing too wildly.
This is the dream, honestly. Not super high, not totally exhausted, just steady.
Yes. Example: I'm trying to build steady energy instead of depending on coffee. Repeat after me, steady.
Be steady.
Word 5, drain. To drain means to slowly take away energy, strength, or emotion.
Like a long meeting that could have been one email.
Oh, exactly. Example: too much screen time can drain my energy. Repeat after me, drain.
Drain.
Word 6, hydrate. To hydrate means to give your body enough water.
A very simple word, a very important word, a word many of us ignore until things get weird.
True. Example: I try to hydrate before I start my workday. Repeat after me, hydrate.
Hydrate.
Word 7, brain fog. Brain fog is that fuzzy, unclear feeling when it is hard to think properly.
One of the rudest feelings in adult life.
It really is. Example: when I don't sleep enough, I get terrible brain fog in the afternoon. Repeat after me, brain fog.
Brain fog.
Word 8, sluggish. Sluggish means slow, heavy, lacking energy.
So if your body feels like it's moving through peanut butter, sluggish.
That is a strangely accurate image. Example: I feel sluggish when I sit for too many hours without moving. Repeat after me, sluggish.
Sluggish.
Word 9, recharge. To recharge means to get energy back after feeling tired.
Like your phone, but softer and with more emotional damage.
Yes. Example: a short walk helps me recharge during the day. Repeat after me, recharge.
Will recharge.
Word 10, movement break. A movement break is a short period when you stop sitting and move your body.
One of those habits that sounds small but changes a lot.
Exactly. Example: I take a movement break every hour to stay focused. Repeat after me, movement break.
Movement break.
Word 11, focus. Focus is your ability to pay attention and think clearly about one thing.
Which disappears very fast when your energy disappears.
Very true. Example: it's hard to focus when I'm dehydrated. Repeat after me, focus.
A focus.
Word 12, habit. A habit is something you do regularly, often without thinking too much about it.
And this whole episode is really about habits, not heroics.
Beautifully said. Example: drinking water in the morning became a healthy habit for me. Repeat after me, habit.
Habit.
Sure. Now let's quickly hear them again in a natural flow. Fatigue, slump, crash, steady, drain, hydrate, brain fog, sluggish, recharge, movement break, focus, habit.
Now that list actually sounds like the story of a work day.
It really does. So here's a tiny review.
If you feel fatigue, you feel deeply tired. If you hit a slump, your energy drops. If you crash, it drops hard. If your energy is steady, it feels balanced.
Anand, if something drains you, it takes energy away. If you hydrate, you give your body water. If you have brain fog, your thinking feels cloudy. If you feel sluggish, your body feels slow and heavy.
Meal, if you recharge, you get energy back. A movement break helps reset your body. Focus helps you stay with one task. And a habit is something you do again and again.
And one nice thing about these words is that they are practical. You can use them in very normal sentences.
Like, I had brain fog all morning, or I need a movement break, or coffee helps, but it doesn't give me steady energy.
Exactly. So try to use 2 or 3 of these this week in your real life. That is how vocabulary starts to feel natural.
Not by memorizing a giant list while suffering.
No suffering required. And now let's gently wrap this up and leave you with something simple you can actually remember tomorrow afternoon. So if there's one thing to remember from today, it's this. Steady energy usually does not come from one dramatic fix. It comes from noticing what your body needs a little earlier.
Right? Less panic coffee, more basic human maintenance.
Exactly. A little more water, a little more movement, a little more honesty about mental fatigue, and a little less shame when your energy drops.
Because the 3 p.m. version of you is not a failure, that person may just need a walk and a glass of water.
And maybe fewer impossible expectations.
Always helpful.
Don't forget to download the energy audit checklist below. It can help you spot the habits that support your energy and the ones quietly draining it.
And if this episode felt a little too familiar, tell us in the comments what usually causes your afternoon crash.
And if you like learning English in this calm little space, you can stay with us by subscribing.
Next time, we should talk about building a morning routine that gives you energy before the chaos starts.
So that sounds perfect. Take care of your energy, take care of yourself, and we'll see you in the next one.